when it comes to global catastrophes and ways to survive in the face of a complete collapse of civilization. The conversation invariably concerns rescue shelters. But who exactly is building these shelters, for whom are they intended, and what facts confirm their existence? Let's take a closer look. There are many theories and facts that point to the existence of a secret network of rescue shelters designed for the elite. These shelters are complex underground complexes equipped with the most advanced technologies to ensure long-term survival. The world's largest corporations and government contractors, such as Halliburton, Bechtel, and Fluor Corporation, are engaged in the construction of such facilities. These companies have many years of experience in the construction of complex infrastructure facilities, including military bases and secret complexes. One of the most famous places associated with the idea of a rescue shelter is Shina Mountain in Colorado, USA. The Shinskaya Mountain was built as a highly protected military complex capable of withstanding nuclear strikes and operating in isolation. Currently, this facility is also mentioned in the context of the possibility of using it as a refuge for the chosen in the event of a global catastrophe. The complex houses autonomous power supply systems, food and water supplies, as well as air filtration systems to protect against chemical, biological, and radiological threats. In addition, there are rumors about the existence of huge underground complexes in Norway, such as the seed storage on Svalbard, which, although designed to store seeds in case of global disasters, also serves as a reminder of the preparation for possible apocalyptic scenarios. This storage facility is located on the Svalbard archipelago, deep in the mountain, which protects it from any external influences, including nuclear explosions and climate change. All conditions have been created in this zone in order to preserve the agrarian heritage of mankind in the event of a crisis. These shelters are not just shelters, they are high-tech autonomous complexes. One of the main features is the availability of autonomous power supply systems. Many shelters are equipped with diesel-powered generators, solar panels, and even low-power nuclear reactors. For example, some of the shelters use the technology of micronuclear reactors developed by Rolls-Royce, which allows for the generation of electricity for many decades to come without the need for external supply. In addition, such complexes are equipped with hydroponics and aquaponics systems that allow growing plants and breeding fish in a confined space. This provides their inhabitants with fresh food, which is extremely important during prolonged isolation. Hydroponics allows you to grow vegetables and fruits without using soil, which makes it an ideal solution for underground conditions. In some shelters, such as in the facility in the Executioners, there are even artificial farms using LED lighting, which ensures a constant cycle of growing crops. Secret shelters are being built in the most remote and protected places on Earth. In addition to the already mentioned Cheyenne Mountain and the seed storage on Svalbard, rumors of underground complexes in the Appalachian Mountains, as well as in places such as Denver International Airport, attract special attention. This airport is shrouded in a lot of conspiracy theories because of its strange architecture and huge underground structures that are supposed to be part of a larger complex designed for the survival of the elite. There is also speculation that under London, in the Whitehall area, there is an extensive network of tunnels and bunkers built during the Cold War, which can be used to evacuate and protect government officials. In some places of these tunnels, you can still see traces of previous preparation for possible disasters, such as emergency entrances and ventilation systems. The main question that arises for many is, for whom are these shelters intended? According to various theories, access to such complexes will be granted only to a select few. First of all, these are high-ranking officials, heads of major corporations, military leaders, as well as those who have significant financial influence. For example, some reports indicate that billionaires such as Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos already have their own plans in case of a global catastrophe, including private shelters and evacuation plans to safe zones. Many believe that ordinary citizens will not be given access to such shelters, even if information about the impending disaster becomes known. This idea raises many questions about the fairness and ethics of such an approach, since it means that a huge part of the population will be defenseless in the face of global threats. It should also be noted that in addition to civilian shelters, there are also military bases that can serve as protective shelters in the event of a disaster. For example, the US Air Force Base at Mountain Home Air Force Base in Idaho, as well as Zone 51 in Nevada, are objects that are rumored as potential shelters for military and scientific personnel working for the US government. Zone 51 has long been associated with secret government projects, and its remote location in the desert makes it an ideal place to create this kind of infrastructure. Information about rescue shelters is carefully hidden for a number of reasons. First of all, preventing panic among the population is the main priority. If it became known that access to shelters would be granted only to a narrow group of people, it could lead to mass protests and riots. Secondly, maintaining control over the situation is an important factor for the authorities who want to maintain control. Even in a crisis, power and control are what underlie any such decisions. These shelters are not just a means of salvation, but also a way to preserve the existing order, when the elites continue to hold power even in the most extreme conditions. The question is, will these measures be able to ensure the survival and revival of civilization after a potential catastrophe? And who will become part of the new world if there is another cycle of destruction and renewal? Colonization of other planets has long been one of the most discussed topics in scientific and political circles. This is not only of scientific interest, but also a possible need to create an alternative plan in case the Earth becomes uninhabitable. But who exactly develops these programs? What are the goals and possible benefits? Let's look at the details. One of the leaders in the field of space colonization is the Space 10 company, headed by Elon Musk. Space 10 is actively developing a program to colonize Mars, and Musk has repeatedly stated his vision of a future where Mars will become a reserve planet for humanity. In the 2020th year, Space 10 successfully launched the Starship rocket, which, according to Musk, will become the main vehicle for transporting people and cargo to Mars. Its goal is to create a self-sufficient colony that will be independent of the Earth and will be able to function in the event of global disasters. Blue Origin, another company headed by billionaire Jeff Bezos, is also actively developing space exploration programs. Bezos is considering the possibility of creating colonies in space, such as giant rotating stations known as Annel cylinders, in honor of the American physicist Gerard Annel, who proposed the concept of such stations. In his opinion, the colonization of space will help to avoid overpopulation and environmental problems faced by the Earth. These stations can become a new home for humanity, where artificial ecosystems and living conditions for millions of people will be created. Another major player is NASA. The agency has been developing and testing technologies for flights to Mars and the Moon for many years. The Artemis project, which aims to return people to the Moon, serves as an important stage in preparation for the colonization of Mars. The Moon is seen as the first step on the way to creating self-sufficient bases that could become logistics centers for future missions to Mars and other planets. One of the most important parts of the Artemis mission is the creation of a permanent base, the lunar settlement of Artemis, Artemis Base Camp, where it will be possible to test the technologies necessary for survival in extreme conditions. Many people wonder why waste enormous resources on colonizing other planets when there are so many unresolved problems on Earth. The answer, oddly enough, is the survival of humanity. Experts believe that the Earth may become uninhabitable due to many factors, such as global catastrophes, climate change, possible wars with the use of weapons of mass destruction, and even potential threats from outer space, such as the fall of an asteroid. For example, Elon Musk has repeatedly said that humanity must become a multiplanetary species in order to have a chance for long-term survival. In the event of a catastrophe on Earth, Mars will become a backup planet where it will be possible to start anew. Musk is also considering using Starship to create flotillas that can transport people to Mars in large numbers. His goal is to create a colony of up to 1 million people, which will be able to function autonomously, providing itself with everything necessary. Bezos, in turn, believes that it is the colonization of space and the creation of colony stations that will be able to solve the problem of overpopulation on Earth and the exhaustion of natural resources. He plans to build anal cylinders, huge rotating colonies that will be able to support the ecosystem, create artificial gravity, and provide millions of people with comfortable living conditions. These cylinders will be located at Lagrange points, places in space where the gravitational forces of the Earth and the Moon are balanced, making them ideal for creating long-term colonies. Colonization of other planets is fraught with many challenges. One of the main ones is radiation. Outside of Earth, people are exposed to cosmic radiation, which can harm their health and cause serious diseases such as cancer. To solve this problem, NASA and other agencies are developing special radiation shields that will protect space travelers and future colonists. One of the possible solutions is also the construction of colonies under the surface of Mars or the Moon, which will allow the soil to be used as a natural shield from radiation. Another challenge is to provide colonists with resources. Mars is a desert planet, and water is present there only in the form of ice. NASA and Space 10 are working on technologies that will extract this ice and turn it into water for drinking and growing plants. In addition, oxygen and hydrogen can be obtained from water, which will allow producing fuel and providing people with breathing air. Bezos and Blue Origin are also paying attention to projects related to the extraction of water and the creation of closed ecosystems that can support life in space. Colonization of other planets is fraught with many challenges. One of the main ones is radiation. Outside of Earth, people are exposed to cosmic radiation, which can harm their health and cause serious diseases such as cancer. To solve this problem, NASA and other agencies are developing special radiation shields that will protect space travelers and future colonists. One of the possible solutions is also the construction of colonies under the surface of Mars or the Moon, which will allow the soil to be used as a natural shield from radiation. Another challenge is to provide colonists with resources. Mars is a desert planet, and water is present there only in the form of ice. NASA and SpaceX are working on technologies that will extract this ice and turn it into water for drinking and growing plants. In addition, oxygen and hydrogen can be obtained from water, which will allow producing fuel and providing people with breathing air. Bezos and Blue Origin are also paying attention to projects related to the extraction of water and the creation of closed ecosystems that can support life in space. Colonization of other planets can have far-reaching consequences for humanity. First of all, it will open up new opportunities for scientific research. Studying Mars and other planets can help to understand the history of the solar system, as well as answer questions about the possibility of life beyond Earth. Projects such as ExoMars, carried out in cooperation between the European Space Agency ESA and Roscosmos, are already conducting research aimed at searching for signs of life on Mars. In addition, space colonization can stimulate technological development. the development of technologies necessary for life in space, such as autonomous life support systems. Robotic devices and terraforming methods can lead to new innovations that can also be used on Earth. For example, projects to develop efficient water and air purification systems can help improve the quality of life here on Earth. However, the colonization of space also raises serious ethical questions. Who exactly will choose those who will go to live on other planets? Obviously, such missions will not be available to everyone. First of all, these are those who can afford it financially, which again calls into question the question of justice and equality. There are fears that space colonies may become a kind of refuge for the elite, leaving the bulk of the Earth's population to struggle with the consequences of global disasters. Another important question concerns the possible impact on other planets. For example, if life has ever existed on Mars or another planet, these planets may represent unique ecosystems that need to be protected. As a rule, humanity is not distinguished by a careful attitude to the environment, and colonization can lead to the destruction of possible traces of alien life and ecosystems. International agreements, such as the Space Treaty of 1967 prohibit any national appropriation of space bodies. However, real control and regulatory mechanisms may not be effective enough. Questions about the colonization of other planets are a question not only about science and technology, but also about the survival and future of all mankind. Space programs such as SpaceX, Blue Origin, NASA, ESA, and even China's efforts with its missions to the Moon and Mars emphasize the scale of humanity's desire to find new homes beyond Earth. It is important to understand that colonization can be both a salvation and a new challenge full of moral and ethical dilemmas. Will colonization be successful? Will we be able to create sustainable settlements on other planets or space stations? Will we be able to prevent the repetition of mistakes that we have already made on Earth? These questions remain open. However, one thing is clear: humanity has already embarked on a path that can change our future forever. Knowledge hidden from humanity is often viewed in the context of secret societies, government conspiracies, and scientific discoveries that could change our world if they became known to everyone. There are many theories related to what we call knowledge hidden from humanity, and in this section, we will look at some of the most interesting and controversial aspects. Many studies and theories suggest that ancient civilizations possessed knowledge and technology that surpassed our modern achievements. Civilizations such as Atlantis, Lemuria, and even ancient Egypt may have had access to powerful energy sources or technologies that allowed them to erect monumental structures such as the Great Pyramids at Giza. Archaeologists still cannot explain how the pyramids were built with such high accuracy, and there is a theory that the ancient Egyptians had access to technologies that we have lost or do not even understand. For example, the stone blocks used to build the pyramids weigh tens of tons, and it would take huge efforts to move them, even with the use of modern technology. There is a theory that ancient engineers used the knowledge of resonance and acoustics to facilitate the movement of these huge blocks, and also understood the secrets of anti-gravity or used forces similar to electromagnetic ones. There are also legends about crystal skulls, which are believed to contain the knowledge of ancient civilizations, and may have powerful energy properties. There is ample evidence that government agencies around the world, and especially the CIA and the US Air Force, have been studying the phenomenon of unidentified flying objects UFOs for decades. As part of the Blue Book project, the US military conducted research on UFO encounters. collected eyewitness accounts, and analyzed this data. Although it was officially stated that the project did not reveal evidence of the existence of extraterrestrial technologies, many materials remain classified, and a number of researchers believe that the government is hiding real evidence of contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. Recently, in the 2020 and 2021 years, the Pentagon declassified some materials concerning UFO sightings by pilots of the US Navy. These videos showed objects performing maneuvers that cannot be explained in terms of modern aerodynamics and known technologies. While only a small part of the information is presented to the public, there is an opinion that a significant part of these studies remains hidden and may contain data about technology or phenomena that would be revolutionary for science and technology. The HAARP High-Frequency Active Aurora Research Program Project. This is a research program dedicated to the study of the ionosphere. Officially, HAARP is designed to study natural phenomena and improve radio communications, but there are theories that this project was also used to develop climate weapons. Some claim that HAARP is able to influence the weather, cause earthquakes, and control natural disasters. There is evidence that studies related to the ionosphere and its impact on the climate began to be conducted during the Cold War, when the USSR and the USA were looking for ways to gain an advantage in the global confrontation. Technologies that can affect the climate, if they exist, represent a huge force, capable of changing the political balance in the world. Climate weapons can potentially become an effective tool for putting pressure on other countries, and this explains why these studies remain classified as top secret. Another topic related to hidden knowledge is developments in the field of genetic engineering and mind control technologies. There are concerns that genetic research can be used not only for good purposes, such as the treatment of hereditary diseases, but also to create programs to control the population. In this context, the MKUltra project, conducted by the CIA in the 1950s and 70s, is often mentioned. The aim of this project was to study methods of mind control using psychotropic substances and psychological influence. Theories claim that, despite the official closure of the MKUltra program, similar research continues even now, but in a more hidden form. The development of technologies, such as neural interfaces and artificial intelligence, opens up opportunities for a deeper understanding of the brain and the possibility of intervention in it. There are concerns that such technologies can be used not only for treatment, but also for controlling people's behavior, which can lead to violations of fundamental rights and freedoms. One of the most intriguing topics is the theory of ancient artifacts, which may indicate that ancient civilizations have technologies related to time travel or the use of energy that we do not yet understand. Some researchers claim that artifacts such as the Antikythera mechanism, a complex device found in the wreckage of an ancient Greek ship, could serve to predict astronomical events with incredible accuracy. This device puzzles scientists to this day, and its full purpose has not yet been disclosed. There is also a theory about so-called misplaced artifacts, out-of-place artifacts, such as a battery from Baghdad, or traces of high-precision mechanical treatments in ancient stone blocks of South America. These findings suggest that ancient civilizations possessed knowledge and technologies that, it would seem, could not exist at that time. These artifacts are often considered in the context of the theory of ancient extraterrestrial visits, or that our history is much deeper and more complex than is commonly believed. There are many reasons why knowledge can remain hidden. First of all, it is control over society. Knowledge is power, and access to certain knowledge can undermine the power of existing elites. Secondly, the concealment of technologies, such as free energy, is directly related to the economic system. If people had access to unlimited energy sources, it could completely change the balance of power in the world, make oil and gas unnecessary, which would entail the collapse of economies based on these resources. In addition, knowledge concerning extraterrestrial civilizations can be hidden in order not to cause panic, and not to destroy existing religious and cultural systems. The possibility of the existence of other intelligent life forms calls into question our ideas about the place of humanity in the universe and can cause serious consequences for society. Thus, hidden knowledge is not just the secrets that we are trying to uncover, but also the key to understanding our history, our capabilities, and our future. While this knowledge remains inaccessible to most, we will continue to ask questions and look for answers that may help us see the world in a new light. When we talk about the future of humanity, many questions inevitably arise. How can we preserve civilization? How can we resist global threats? And is it possible to change the already predetermined path? In this section, we will try to consider the main scenarios of future development and potential challenges that we will face. Global climate change remains one of the most pressing threats to humanity in the near future. According to the reports of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the level of the world's oceans continues to rise, which poses a threat to coastal regions and millions of people living in these areas. In particular, cities such as Miami, Jakarta, and Bangkok are at risk of flooding. Scientists warn that rising temperatures and climate change can cause mass migration of the population, which will lead to social and economic shocks. The future of humanity is also closely connected with the development of artificial intelligence and AI. Companies such as DeepMind, Google, and many others are actively developing more and more advanced systems and technologies that can significantly change our ideas about work and the economy. There is an opinion that in the coming decades, AI can replace many professions, which will cause the need for retraining of millions of people. We are already seeing automation and robotization infiltrating industries such as industry, medicine, and transport. Autonomous cars developed by companies such as Tesla and Waymo are already at the testing stage and may soon become part of everyday life. But challenges are also associated with these changes. For example, scientists and philosophers such as Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk warn of the dangers that the development of uncontrolled AI can bring. They believe that if control and regulation mechanisms are not developed, AI may pose a threat to humanity, since its capabilities and goals may get out of human control. In the 2018 year, Elon Musk even created an organization to ensure the safe and controlled development of AI. In order to avoid the catastrophic consequences of climate change, it is necessary to make an energy revolution. Already, major corporations, such as Tesla, are actively investing in the development of technologies related to alternative energy. In 2000, Tesla built the world's largest lithium-ion battery in Australia, which helps to stabilize the power grid and provides electricity during periods of peak demand. Solar panels, wind turbines, and tidal energy are seen as key elements of the future energy system. However, a full transition to renewable energy sources requires significant investment and political will. Countries such as Germany and Sweden have already taken a course to completely abandon fossil energy sources. But for most countries, this process remains slow and requires significant efforts. In 2021, the administration of President Joe Biden announced plans to significantly increase the share of renewable energy sources in the U.S. energy balance by 2035, which could be an important step towards solving the problem of climate change. Colonization of other planets, which was discussed in the previous part. continues to be one of the possible scenarios for the salvation of mankind. Projects related to the exploration of the Moon and Mars are being developed not only by NASA and SpaceX, but also by countries such as China and India. The Chinese Lunar Exploration Program assumes the creation of a permanent base on its surface by the 2030th year, which can also serve as a base for further missions to Mars. India, for its part, has successfully launched the Chandrayaan-2 mission, which makes it one of the leading countries in the field of space research. Space agencies are also considering using the resources of the Moon and asteroids. Significant reserves of helium-3 have been discovered on the Moon, which is considered as a potential source of energy for future thermonuclear reactors. In turn, asteroids contain rare metals such as platinum and nickel, which can be used in industry. The development of these resources can radically change our economy and give humanity new opportunities for growth. The future development of technology and space exploration raises many ethical questions. How can we ensure an equitable distribution of resources in a world where some have access to advanced technologies, while others remain in poverty? How to protect people's rights when automation and robotization can deprive them of their jobs? Yuval Noah Harari, author of *Sapiens and Homo Deus*, raises the question of the future of inequality. He warns that the technological revolution may lead to the emergence of a new class of useless people, who will not be needed by the economy due to lack of work. This can lead to social conflicts and the need to create a new social policy, such as an unconditional basic income, which is already being tested in countries such as Finland and Canada. In addition, the development of genetic engineering and human modification technologies, such as CRISPR, also raises many questions for us. These technologies can make it possible to treat genetic diseases and improve a person's physical and mental abilities. But who will control these changes? And how to avoid the emergence of a new kind of social inequality, genetic inequality? Humanity is on the verge of new discoveries and great challenges. The future may be bright and full of opportunities, but it can also carry threats and dangers. Will we be able to use technology for the common good and ensure a decent life for everyone? Or will we allow inequalities and control to become the main characteristics of our society? The answer to this question depends on each of us. Our decisions, our attitude to science, technology, and the environment will determine what our future will be. Perhaps one day, we will truly become a multiplanetary civilization, solve energy problems, and overcome inequality. But it requires joint efforts and a responsible approach to every step we take on this path. Let's not forget that knowledge is the key to our future, and it depends only on us how we use it.